Forgot to add myself to the stage. What's going on, everybody? Welcome, welcome. Good to see all you guys. Wait for some people to roll in here and we'll get the show started in a little bit. Driftwood Fishing. Oos, what's up, man? Not much. Oh, I see you on the YouTube. OC Fish Slayer, what's going on, man? I'm posting some good reels, dude. Keep up the good work. If you guys want to check us out, we're going to be on YouTube doing a live show. How you guys doing out there slaying it? I've been seeing the posts, man. You guys have been getting after it. Jess, what's going on, man? What's up? New follower, pumped to get some jigs. Jake, man, that's awesome. Looking forward to seeing your fish, dude. You guys been killing it. We got a new color out and everything. It's been good. Oh, you love the love the Bring Dream already. Got mine. Oh, nice, man. Hell yeah. They're pretty sick. I like how they turned out. It was pretty awesome. So Cal Chompers, what's up, man? We're just getting ready to hop on YouTube. Give a few minutes, get some people to roll in here. Say what's up. We'll get the official show started. Fishing Chinch. What's going on, man? What's going on, Peter86? What's up, man? Driftwood Fishing, Jeremy. Glad you could join us. Ironfish, Oos. Leonard, what's up, man? Good to see you. Jeremy said, just got my first kayak, Old Town, big water, 132 PDL. Can't wait to get out there on the water. Yeah, it's a pretty good kayak from what I understand. I've never been on one, but I know a lot of people got those and they tend to like them. I mean, really, anything you can get, time you guys can get on the water, it's like it's totally worth it. No matter, doesn't really matter the kayak so much. Just getting out there and getting on the water is pretty much everything. It's a game changer, especially if you've only ever fished like from shore and stuff like that. Um, it's like a whole new world. You never go back. Oh, Driftwood said he owns it. Yes, right. That and a kayak and Big Water Yak Fishing, I think, owns one too. What's going on, guys? Ricky, EBM Bates. Man, some of you guys just got your names are like just straight up numbers. Straight King, what's going on, dude? Glad you could join us. We're gonna be hopping on YouTube pretty soon here. Just doing kind of the pre-show, getting everybody warmed up, and before we get after it, Fifth Boys, what's going on, man? What have you guys been up to? Everybody been fishing? We've been doing a lot of flounder fishing lately, from the surf actually. So one of my buddies, Julian, out here in Jacksonville, kind of gave me a hot tip. So me and Kevin been hitting the spot trying to get some flounder. Hasn't been popping off too much, but we did get a few. Kevin's got a few. I haven't got one yet, but yeah, man, Kevin got a couple last day. That's pretty good. Kicking it, been sick, so no fishing. Yeah, dude, that's the worst. But feel better. How do you say your name? R 330. Grinding the piers. Yeah, man, that's awesome. Piers are fun. Spotty Bowl. What's going on, Judge? Slow pitch fishing in California, but it's there if it would work for you. Oh, slow fishing in California, SoCal. Yeah. Is the water still cold out there? Or has it been picking up? Looks like tuna fishing's been doing pretty good, but it's been you got to go offshore for that stuff. I think they're still having to go down to Mexico or pretty far west to get on them. But it's getting pretty good. Spotty Bull says, when your birthday? I know it's close. Yeah, a couple. It's the 21st. So what is it? The 13th? Pretty soon. Couple weeks. 1 week, week and a half. I don't know. Whatever that is. It's almost time. Turning into an old man. What stores y'all in? I need some sumos. Connor, we're in a lot. If you go to Fishing Rep's website, you can find he's got a dealer finder on there, but it depends where you're at. Maybe if you let me know what city, I can point you in the right direction. Yeah, Jesse, the red tide in SoCal has been slow. Yeah, Captain Dan sent me a message about that too. He sent me an email, said red tide was pretty bad. It doesn't really smell that bad right now, but you guys, sometimes it stinks, but hasn't been bad. That sucks, man. That red tide, it just screws everything up. Seems like every year they get it too in Southern California. At least when I was out there, it seemed like every single year at some point it would just roll in and fishing would just be trash for everyone. We'd chase it down. You'd start. I feel like the last couple of years it was north and then it would work its way south, so we'd be constantly fighting it off. It seemed like it was starting like Orange County and roll down But we had to keep going like La Jolla and then Mexico and like deeper and deeper, just trying to get away from it. Man, it sucks. But yeah, that red tide's no joke. SoCal Huntington. So you guys have the red tide, yeah? And I guess it's been up in Oh, you're in SoCal Huntington. So who's up there? Fisherman's Access. I know we just sent like a big order. Um, Hogan's. Well, they're in Dana. Baja Tackle. Um, Man, there's so many. I'm starting to blank, but yeah, we got quite a few stores up there. Somebody nearby, Melton's, I think, and yeah, I have to look at the go to fishingreps.com. They got a tackle store finder. Dave Rage driving home. Heck yeah, man. Enjoy the show. Lalo Fish. Oos, what's going on? Tuna, yeah, still 40 to 50 miles out. Red Tide. Yeah, he's also saying the red tide is bad. Red Tide was bad in La Jolla last Friday. Bite was slow. That's what I've been hearing, man. You're like the third or fourth person talking about that red tide. That sucks. The red tide just shuts it all down. Driftwood. Driftwood Fishing knows. He knows where they're at. Yeah, they should get their stuff soon. And we just sent out today, Fisherman's Access. I sent out a whole order. So they got the new Bream Dreams too, all their stuff. So it should be good. Drake King, hopefully gonna get a tuna on the ogre next week. I have faith. I have faith that you will. Ogre always produces. If they're there, man, they'll get them for sure. Just a matter of finding the fish. I've got all the faith in the world in the jig, but uh, getting on the bites, that's one thing. But you guys are probably going on the Pacific Queen. I think you guys will be fine. That's a really good boat. From your experience, how long does a red tide normally last? It depends, and sometimes it's like a month, sometimes it's a couple weeks. Um, it's just one of those things that it doesn't. Every year it was kind of different. A lot of it depends on like the water temperature and pollution, and like a lot of times it pops up when there's a lot of rain and stuff. Like the bacteria comes in, and then when it starts to warm up a little bit, like it blooms. But if the tide changes, like it could push out. Really, just the water needs to regulate. Has it been raining out there, or is it just kind of shown up? That's interesting. It's been horrible in Marina Del Rey. My friend got a rash from. Yeah, you don't want to go in that stuff, man. That's everywhere. That sucks, man. That is bad news for Southern California. Yeah, red tide is it's trash. Is it close, or do you guys have to get offshore? A lot of times we'd get on, um, like you can't kayak fish, and you got to go on a boat. And sometimes we got to go out like, sometimes 5, 10 miles, and you can get past it, but then you're just rock fishing and looking on like, you got to go past the kelp and all that. There's not much there, unless you're going to the islands or going kelp patty fishing, but it's not really that time yet of year either. So you're pretty much stuck to rock fishing at that point, which kind of, sucks. But rock fishing's cool. I like that. How's Florida? Do you miss California? Um, I miss things, but I love Florida, but I love California too. I mean, I lived there my whole life. California is great. Um, so there's things I miss about California, but ultimately I'm happy with Florida too. It's a different world, especially where I'm at, like Jacksonville. Um, it's not like the same as regular Florida. I think a lot of people think of Florida, they think of like Miami and Tampa Bay and stuff like that. Up here in Jacksonville, we're in like the Northeast, and it's like it's the South, dude. It's more like um more like Georgia, so to speak. It's just the people are different. The um culture is just totally different than like you would find in Miami and stuff like that. A lot more small town feel, a lot more homely. People are a lot more friendly. Um, it's cool. It's got like a small town vibe. People are really helpful out here. I mean, it's just totally different. Like when I drive out of my neighborhood, like all my neighbors wave to me, like them all. My wife walks the baby, and my wife walked our daughter out in Carlsbad for. She walks every day or jogs every day, and I don't think anybody in Carlsbad. She never really met any of them. She walks the baby out here, and it's like she got half a dozen friends now that they all walk with, and it's just the hospitality is definitely different out here, big time. SD Angler Life, what's going on, man? Just copped the 210Gs. Awesome, dude. Looking forward to see some fish. Good recommendation for the kelp inshore calico bass. I got to pick up some jigs. Calico bass. I usually go with the 40 gram mercenary is my jam, and the kelp. The sumo works too. If you're gonna go a little deeper, the 80 gram. But 40 is like a good cast and retrieve. 80 gram if you want to double up and they're looking on some of the bigger jigs and stuff like that. You can throw a 20, but I think it's a little small. You probably don't need it that small. 40 is pretty good. Holtz Carpet Care. Oh, what's going on, man? Yeah, man. We sold our business, left Carlsbad, moved to Florida, man. You guys, check out Holt Carpet Care, man. He used to clean our carpets all the time in Carlsbad. Did good work though. We had him out, man. At least probably twice a year, I think. I kept staining the carpet with barbecue juice. Yeah, it's good. It's been good. Alex the Fisher dude, Oos, what's going on? All right, guys, let's go ahead and get this party started officially, man. I've been sitting here talking away. Welcome, everybody, to the Submission Fishing Podcast. I'm your host, Muto. Glad you could join us. You got a pretty good show for you guys today. At least I think it is. Just talking about some BS we got going on with some of the short fishing seasons that are kind of embarrassing, the federal government's been implementing. I got some news stories for you guys and stuff too. Obviously, if you guys have questions that need to be answered, let me know. Anything you want to talk about, we'll just chop it up for about an hour, man. So if you got anything on your mind, let me know. The first order of news talking about Captain Dan, he hit me this story. So if you guys are into fishing tournaments, which I know a lot of y'all are, you want to check out the CCA Star Tournament. Now, what this is, it's a tournament that runs for like a couple months. And really, if you guys aren't like, if you guys are fishing regularly and you're not a part of the CCA Star Tournament, you guys should really think about doing it, because it's not a tournament based on like biggest fish or like largest fish. Basically, you submit fish entries, and those entries kind of go into drawings. So if you're catching, out in California, you've got your calico spotties, and stuff like that. So if you're just out fishing and they're over a certain limit, you take a picture. You got to get like an official board. You take a picture, but then those pictures, I think you get like 5 entries a day or something like that. And there's some really good prizes. There's Tony, she's a friend of the show. You guys could check her out, and I'll put the link in there. But if you guys are just fishing regularly, I mean, there's really no reason to do it. It's not that expensive. You get a CCA membership, along with it. So registration is $40 with the current CCA membership. Non-memberships can participate by joining the CCA. So I think it's $80 total, but it runs months. I think it just started at the end of May. And then I don't know where it runs here, but it's like, through September. So May 25th through September 2nd, you guys have. So all saltwater bass, sand bass, calico bass, spotted bay bass, they have to be over 18 inches. Spotties, that's, kind of rough to do, obviously, but sand bass, calico bass all day. California halibut, over 28 inches. Yellowtail, over 36 inches. White sea bass, 36 inches. Bluefin tuna. So those are all got to be 36 inches. But what you do is you basically take a picture of this board, and then you upload them into the site. But it's cool. You guys can win like boats and stuff like that. There's, a bunch of trips, around the world, and guided tours. There's just tons of prizes, and it's really cool. Yeah, avid reels, just all kinds of gift packs. So if you guys are, out there fishing, a Hobie Mirage Compass, AFCO gift card, $1,000, definitely check that out. So if you guys are into fishing, and that's the cool thing, is like, it's just, if you're going to fish, you might as well be part of the tournament, because it's not like, oh, you've got to fish this day and you got to be dedicated to it. If you're catching an 18-inch fish, just, put it up and enter for a chance to win. It's really cool. The Star Tournament in Florida out here, and then Texas, I guess, is like, it's a really big deal. So it's been going on a lot here, and in Texas, I guess it's big. CCA, I believe, started in Texas, and it's in Florida, and then obviously it's in California. Probably needed in California more than any other state. But yeah, it's been a big thing out here, and the California CCA, I think, is relatively newer, than some of the other ones. So it's a good way to support them guys. CCA's doing the Lord's work out there as far as getting conservation and keeping our fishing rights and all that stuff. But Yeah, this is like the so you go and pick one of these up. This is obviously the Florida one. So I joined the CCA Star here in Florida because I'm obviously in the Florida region, and you get like a little waterproof tape, and you can pick these up if you go to the site, or they usually they'll partner with local partners, and then you can pick up one of these. And I'll put the link in here so you guys can get it. They have a bunch of partners, so you can get these tape measures, and usually the fish have to be submitted on the CCA Star tape measure, and then you go to the CCA app, you download the app, and then you upload your fish, and then it basically gives you an entry. So you don't have to. It's not like the biggest fish or anything like that. But yeah, check it out. So I'm part of the Florida one. Obviously, it's different. We got redfish, trout, um, flounder, stuff like that. So a little different fishery, but it's the same idea. What's crazy is the one in here in Florida is they have like what's called tagged fish, where they tag redfish and other fish. They put tags on them and then release them. And if you can catch like a tagged fish, you straight up win like boats, Carolina skiffs. I mean, they give away like just a ton of money, $500,000 in prizes for the Florida one. So if you guys compete and get in there, you can grow the California one big like the Florida one. Um, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, tons of prizes and stuff. So it's the first annual one for the CCA California, CCA Star. So go do it, guys. I mean, if I was there, I'd definitely be signed up for sure. So check that out. Should be awesome. Jesse Ransom, what's going on, man? Glad you could join us. Carl Black, Oos, welcome to the show. Hope you're doing well. What's going on, guys, on Instagram or on YouTube? Come hit us up. I'll be signing off here pretty quick. Doc Stalker, what's going on? Glad you could join us. Hopefully you've been out there slaying. So yeah, check out CCA. I think most of you guys fish enough. You should be in there doing your thing. Let's see. What else do we have here? As far as stories, I know there was another one. The present. Sorry, guys. And then we had this one for some of you guys local out in California. Looks like the Port of San Diego has declared emergency. So there's an invasive seaweed, I guess, found on some of the bays. It's been taking over some of the eelgrass and stuff. So just keep an eye out for that. I guess they're trying to kill it. It's an algae species, scientifically known. I don't know how you pronounce that. Calepra prolifiera. It was first spotted in San Diego Bay, September, according to the news release from the port. The algae grows and reproduces rapidly, choking out. So this is the problem. It chokes out the native seaweed and seagrasses, according to the port, causing a loss of habitat to marine life in the bay. Most species at risk are eelgrass. Yeah, and eelgrass is really important. For those of you guys that don't know, I think what they say, like 80% of eelgrass in Southern California grows in San Diego or something like that. So that's crazy. And the eelgrass is, it's really essential as far as a lot of fish live in there and it's an ecosystem. And not only that, it actually absorbs massive amount of like carbon dioxide and stuff like that. It keeps the water clean. So some of this stuff is taking over. Apparently, they think it was somebody dumped like a saltwater aquarium in it because it's like a popular aquarium algae or something like that. But I guess it's illegal to even own or sell in California, so you're not even supposed to have it. But they're kind of assuming that's where it came. I mean, who the hell's dumping? Like, I don't know. I guess people are dumping their saltwater aquariums into the bay or something. So as of now, about 11,200 square feet of the Calepra have been found in San Diego Bay, including near the Coronado Cays, the San Diego Bay National Wildlife Refuge. Officials have not confirmed the source of the infestation, but said in a news release that it was likely caused by somebody emptying saltwater aquarium into the bay, since the seaweed is a popular and common saltwater aquarium plant. So Yeah, keep your eyes on that, guys, and just remember, don't be doing stupid stuff. Caused over 900,000, 900,000 bed committed to cover the cost, searching for the plant and eradicating it in the bays. Apparently, they spray something over it that like cuts it off from sunlight or something like that. I don't know. Seems pretty interesting. So, kind of an unfortunate story, but just keep your eye on that, guys, and don't be doing stupid stuff. EBM Bait says, does fishing a spinner or conventional reel make a difference with fishing jigs? Yeah, it depends on the size. If I love the I love spinning reels for like smaller jigs. Usually anything 20 gram and under, I'm fishing a spinning reel. Typically because you want the jig to have, so this is in shallow bays. If you just want the jig to flutter down, like by docks and stuff like that in shallow water, or if you're just fishing a kelp line or something like that, and your idea is to just let the jig flutter, I think spinning reel is the best, just because the line comes off the bail. There's no problem with a conventional or a bait caster is it has to turn that spool, and if the spool's not turning fast enough, the jig is it's pulling the spool, but then the spool's putting resistance and it's not letting the jig work as well as it should. Um, so a spinning reel, basically the line just comes off the bail free, and it lets the jig fall as freely as possible. If you're pitching it, it's a different story. It doesn't matter. And by pitching it, I mean if you're getting down to the bottom and lifting it and then just following the nose down, the jig is still going to do its thing. So it's not that big of a deal. If you need to get to a depth, like if you're fishing offshore for rockfish or tuna, it doesn't matter. Conventional is probably the way to go. But the only time you really need a spinner is in shallow water, when you just want it to go down, when you want it to flutter the whole way. But that's typically 25 feet or 25 feet or less. So it depends. Micro stuff, I use the spinners, but they have success with them. I used the bait casters at first, honestly. I was getting bit, so it wasn't like that big of a deal. And but I thought spinner was better, so I just kind of switched to the spinning stuff. So micro stuff, I like spinner. Outside of that, I usually go conventional. Super Skiff 760. I love you guys for keeping people connected, and we try, man. I mean, that's all we got. If we don't have our fishermen, we don't have our community, we got nothing. Even though the fishing community has grown quite a bit since like 2020, but it's important that we all kind of share the same training and ideas and stuff like that. It's good stuff. Thanks for hanging out, dude. Mortarkey, is that how you say it? Mortarkey 82. Wait, define pitching again, because that's the first I've heard of that. Yeah, slow pitch jigging. Basically, the pitch is slow pitch jigging is the. I mean, I can get into this forever, but the jig itself, like the jigs we sell, they're all center weighted and they're designed to basically fall on their side and flutter and dance on their way down. They kind of imitate a dying bait fish. So when we say pitch, basically a traditional pitch is when you lift your rod, it'll flick the jig up and then the jig will turn sideways and then it flutters down. So every time you pitch, a pitch can be a reel. Either you crank a crank with your reel and it picks the jig up, or you can lift the rod, or you can do both. A combination of lifting the rod and cranking. Basically, you're pitching the jig and the jig's doing the work. Every time the jig is pitched, it's going to go sideways and flutter. So it'll go here. You just kind of want to make it dance side to side. So when you hear the word pitch, that's what we're talking about. Slow pitch jig is basically, slow just means the rate at which the jig falls. So it doesn't mean the action is slow. You can work a slow pitch jig actually very fast. But the idea is when it goes sideways, it falls slower. It's not just falling straight down. It's catching water and kind of swimming is what they call it. So you want to pitch it so that the jig swims. So that's what we mean by pitch. It's kind of specific to the slow pitch jigging. Mel, what's up, everyone? What's going on, man? Ooh, glad you could join us. Super Skip says, how do you get on our team? Yeah. Oh, I saw your question on Instagram. We don't have a team like per se. I mean, it would be pretty cool, but yeah, I don't have like a team. There are like some pro, semi-pro people that we sponsor. I know like Brian likes to fish from Spotty Wool is like sponsored. Daniel Martinez is a guy that we sponsor. Guys that compete in tournaments that are like competitive and have won. There are people we do. We have like pro staff as well. Mel right here is part of our pro staff. Sammy is part of our pro staff, and a lot of these guys are on the pro staff. And basically, they're just kind of advocates for the brand. And you know, we work somehow. We work deals with them and give them jig specials and products and stuff like that. And but I don't have like a team, so to speak. We sell the team jerseys. I mean, basically, if you're repping submission jigs, dude, and you know you're spreading the love and you're putting the content out there and just showing people your catches on submission jigs, you're pretty much part of the team, dude. I mean, I consider you part of the submission team. You can get the jerseys, and like if you bought a submission fishing team jersey, like you're part of the team. You're pretty dedicated at that point. When you know those are the guys we want. But at some point, I mean, having a team would be cool. You know, like sending in a sponsored team to like do rockfish tournaments or spotty tournaments. I'd definitely have to look into something like that for sure. But yeah, then having to form a team is a whole different thing. You know, how do you find those people? It'd be a whole nother can of worms. Sammy Prom, Oos, what's going on? Glad you could join us. Did you just get off work? Let's see. SD Angler Life. Yeah, typically use a spinning reel 15 gram and under, in depths 15 or less. Yeah, 20 gram or more. I use a bait caster 20 gram to 40 gram in depths of 28 feet or more. Yeah, I mean that's a good baseline. Because the thing is like with the shallow water, you just let the jig flutter the whole way down anyways, and that's where like a spinner kind of is king. But I used to, like I said, I used to do it with the bait caster all the time, and it does work. Yeah, I was stoked to get you into a Pacific Coast tackle. Yeah, man, that's awesome. I really appreciate you guys out there fishing. Yo, what's going on, man? Congratulations on your million view reel you got there. Spring rolls, dude. I saw you posting about that. That's awesome. You guys check out his content. He's out there doing a lot of sea-doo fishing, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, he's out there fishing the submission jigs as well. So appreciate you, man. Thoughts on difference on slow pitch micros, daytime or nighttime? I don't think it matters. You think if they work or when to throw them? They work both. They work both times. I slow pitch. I mean, that's pretty much all I'd use is my own jigs. Obviously, I'll fish some other stuff sometimes, but just normally I'm trying to get content as well when I fish. So I, by default, I'm fishing, you know, our own stuff a lot. But I use the micros during the day and night. It doesn't matter. They both get bit. Yeah, you can make the case for like, do you want one with glow or not to have glow? You know, stuff like that. But yeah, either way, I don't think there's a difference as far as like production and stuff like that. They seem to work night or day. Got a 14-inch spotty on the 15 gram. One cool tuna. Heck yeah, man. One cool tuna, guys. Check them out. You want some? Check out his surface irons, man. He's got the CNC machined irons, so they all come out the same. He's got good stuff going on there. Made locally. It's pretty awesome. It's fire. Super Skip says fire at night. PB spotty last night. That's awesome, dude. Out there, Fishy said, "Thanks, man. Who would have thought?" Yeah, it's. I mean, I've never had a million view reel, but it's like you just never know. Sometimes you make one that just catches fire and people share, and it's crazy. I mean, I've had some that you have done like 10,000 views and stuff, and that's always surprising. Because it's sometimes it's a reel or like a piece of content you don't think is going to do anything, and then there's just something about it people like, and it's. I think yours is good because it's kind of unique. You know what I mean? Like uh, fishing, cooking stuff that you've caught on a sea-doo. It makes people watch, you know, because it's not something people like associate with. It's different to them, you know. The sea-doo fishing for one, and then like the cooking on the sea-doo really makes people watch. I think you got a good niche there, dude. That's awesome. Candy color is fire. Yeah, that confetti. Cave Dog, Oos, what's going on, man? Glad you could join us. Member for 23 months. Tuna are getting closer. Yeah, man. Day by day, they're inching up, dude. Jessica said you've been. Oh yeah, 23 months. My daughter is 23 months old today. So, okay, Cal, you've been a member as long as my daughter has been in existence. You're the man, Cal. We love you. You're gonna be on Submission at Sea. We're gonna smash it, dude. It's gonna be freaking awesome. Are the EBM bait said, are these available in Santa Barbara, Ventura, California area is the best place to get them online? Where is Ventura? That's like North Sandy. So, what Tackle Express? Might be a little north, huh? We, yeah, you have to check out fishing rods. We do have a dealer in Ventura. Um, I'm pretty sure, but I forget the name. Check it out. I've been on the nighttime bite lately. Also, yeah, they come and go. Like sometimes the night bite's fire, sometimes it's trash. Who knows? You just gotta freaking gotta go out and fish north of LA. Yeah, and I know we do have a dealer up there. I'd have to look it up for you. I unfortunately don't know them all off the top of my head. Driftwood fishing, shoot me a DM. Oh yeah, yeah. If you guys have any questions, you can hit up Driftwood Fishing. He actually is a rep for our products, so he's working with fishing reps. So if you guys have any questions about where to find lures, what place has them, or if you guys want to see something in the store, definitely reach out to him. You can hit him up on Instagram or on here. So Driftwood's the guy. He'll find you a place, or at least get him in there for you. Let's see. Yeah, so we had. You guys want to hear some craziness? So we're going to talk about the main nonsense that I wanted to bring up. And so me and Kevin were out fishing flounder today. We were out at the surf. Like I said, I got a tip from my buddy. So we've been out last day or two, been hunting flounder. It's been kind of slow. We've been getting them in the surf, although Kevin has got a couple. We got some good reels. I'll post some stuff. But he called me earlier today. He just ruined my day because he was like, "Did you hear the news?" And I'm like, "What news?" And he goes, "Oh, the snapper season's almost." So out here in uh, Florida, the red snapper season has been closed, and last year it was open for 2 days, and so we were kind of hoping, oh, we're going to get a good season this year because the Gulf Coast just opened snapper season and they got like 100 and something days, which was crazy because normally they've been having really short um, kind of fisheries too. So I said, no, I haven't heard the news. So we get a single day. They're going to open the fishery for one day to fish red snapper here in the Atlantic side of Florida. It's just like the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life, man. And it was just so disappointing to get that news. And I always wonder, like, why do we have to deal with this? Like, what are they talking about? So basically, it's the NOAA is basically regulates the waters and what you can fish. And one of the problems is they're a federal organization and they manage the water. So we have what's called, same thing applies in California, right? Florida, Texas, basically anywhere. You have what's called state waters, then you have federal waters. State waters typically only run 3 miles offshore, and then it turns into federal water. With the exception of the Gulf in Florida, I think theirs extends to like 9 miles or something like that. So they've got like an extra long area of state line. But anyways, the Gulf used to have. So the Gulf is open like 100 days for red snapper, and then so you have to ask why does the Gulf get to be open so much, and then we only get one day. And basically what they're saying is that it's all overfished, and stuff like that. But reality, they just don't have any information, they don't have any numbers, and it's just crazy. So the reason why they can fish in the Gulf is because the same thing was happening on the Gulf Coast, is that they were saying, oh, you can only have 1 day, 2 days. They were having the same thing, 2 and 3 day um basically open. That's the season. It was literally 2 days. We have 1 day this year to fish snapper. So now they have 100 days. So basically, the Gulf states, Texas, I think Louisiana and Florida, the NOAA that manages the Gulf Coast, the states basically took over um, the reporting and the research and stuff like that. So once they started doing that, and the federal government said, yeah, if you guys want to basically get the information, regulate it, stuff like that, come up with your findings, we'll see what happens. So the states got together and they started basically gathering their own information and tallies and numbers and stuff, and then they find out, oh well, it's not overfished. The red snapper aren't in danger. So now you can have 100 some days. But on the East Coast and the Atlantic side, it's the same thing. They're giving us 1 day. Last year, there was 2 days that you could fish. So it's in July. It's like July 12th. They're going to give us 1 day to fish snapper. And last year it was 2 days, I think in July, that they let you fish the red snapper. Um, it's just crazy, man. Just the insanity. And the problem is it's a federal government agency. So they're not really familiar with local fisheries or anything like that. They control the whole South, basically South Atlantic fishery. And the problem is they don't know. They have no concept of really what's going on with the fishery or not. All the information that they gather comes from fishermen, come from captains, um, and stuff like that. But they don't have either the manpower or the know. They think it's so their whole thing is that it's an overfished fishery at the red snapper season. Except how can it be overfished if it's a no take fishery? You can even take fish except for 1 day a year, and they're saying it's overfished. How can you overfish a fishery with fish that you're not allowed to take? It's just absolute insanity. The stuff that goes on. Um, it's just really disappointing. And I know, for example, for a fact that, and you ask anybody that actually fishes, the red snapper are not a problem. There's red snapper anywhere. You everywhere. You can't even get away from them. Every time you guys see that picture I had in the thumbnail, that was a giant ass red snapper that we get constantly out here fishing for other stuff. They're bycatch, and we have to let them go. We descend them and stuff like that, like we're supposed to. But you just can't get through them. And the shame is you can't keep these fish. But you ask any captain, anybody that's going out fishing, you cannot get away from these red snapper. And the federal government is like, oh, it's overfished, you can't fish them. They're just because they have no clue. And the second that they basically let another organization foot the cost and do the research, they're like, oh yeah, there's like 10 times more fish than we thought there was actually out there. But since we don't have that same resource on the East Coast, they're just keeping it at this like asinine level, saying it's overfished. Overfishing of a species that can't even be taken in the first place. So it's just stuff like that pisses me off, man. I mean, nobody wants a healthy fish more than anglers. You guys know that. I know that. Like, if there was no fish, we don't get to fish. We don't get to eat fish. We don't get to enjoy fishing. Fishermen, at least the fishermen that I know, are the most forward thinking when it comes to conservation. Same thing with the CCA. Our whole job is to protect the actual fishery, but doing it the right way, doing it with numbers that are actually correct and using proper science and the experience of fishermen and stuff like that to keep the fishery alive. There's not a fisherman I know that wants to see fish disappear. That's like the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Um, I would never want fishing to go away. Fishing is my favorite thing to do. I sell fishing lures. I'm in the fishing business. If fish disappeared, we'd have nothing. Like, being villainized as an angler is just one of these things that absolutely just chaps my ass, man. Yeah. So, anyways, we have a couple stories here, highlighting this and just kind of asinine stuff, that goes on with the fishery. And it's not Florida, so to speak, because people are like, oh, I thought Florida was like very friendly to fishermen and stuff like that. The problem is that these are federal waters. In state waters, the red snapper are actually open year round. You can keep red snapper any time of year. The problem is state waters only run 3 miles. You don't get red. You're not going to get big enough reds. You can maybe find some small rats, but the red snapper don't really exist 3 miles out. I mean, you got to go at least, in my estimation, like 10 miles out to start getting on the snapper grounds. So yeah, in the state you can catch them, but they're just not here. That's like saying, um, that's like California saying, "Oh, you can catch blue." Oh, that's not true. Bluefin tuna actually do come in pretty close sometimes, within 3 miles. That's like saying, I don't know, like swordfish. Like, there's no limit on swordfish in California, but what would it matter? Like, how many times are swordfish coming within 3 miles of the coast? Like, it's not a thing that really happens. So we're kind of stuck with this um, nonsense, that we deal with. And what the craziest part is, like the Gulf Coast too, they're spending all this money. So they have to spend their own time and resources and money in order to do their own science and research to get the numbers approved for the red snapper. And it's like, it's going to take something like that on the East Coast to go do the federal government's job. It's like, it's just crazy. And it's not a surprise either. Like, is it like who can do the job better than the federal government? Like, well, pretty much anybody. Any organization, any people, any state can do anything better than the federal government can. And these are the people that we unfortunately have to rely to make these rules that it's just don't make any sense whatsoever. And somebody brought up a point of like safety as well. So you want all these people, all these anglers that you have off the coast of Florida are going to fish one day, and you think that's safe, and you think that that's smart, and that's the way to manage a fishery. It's just so disappointing. And the problem with that is too is the worst thing about it is one of the things they were saying is like the shortage isn't from overfishing, but it's from dead loss. Like people are losing fish, which is 100% true. And this is like the biggest shame is that when you catch these fish, we've caught giant snapper and we descend them. Descending these things is like descending a life jacket, even though you've got the descender with all the weight. And what happens is half the time these fish just get eaten by sharks. Half the time when you fish here, when you're reeling up fish, they get eaten by sharks anyways. When you're descending these giant ass snapper and they're going down slow and what happens is they get barotrauma. So that's why you have to descend them. But in order to descend them, they go down slow. Most of the time these fish just get eaten by sharks. So that's what that's the federal government's answer. You can't keep it. Send this thing to its death that probably 80% chance that this thing is going to die on its way down. But that's better than keeping it. These big, beautiful fish, throw back and feed a shark that's just these sharks that are overfested and already a problem in the offshore here. So don't keep it, or then act like it's a problem that you can't. It's asinine. You can't come up with putting one on a boat, having some reasonable limits. It's just crazy. The same thing happens in California, by the way, too, with cow cod. It's the exact same thing. There's cow cod everywhere, but they took cow cod completely off. And the danger of that is once you completely remove a species from um, like no take, it no longer becomes managed. Like once you stop regulating it and just saying it's no take and no harvest and you can't fish them and target them, you basically have no more data whatsoever on this fish. And it's a very dangerous thing because all the data and everything comes from fishermen, comes from captains. So when you remove a fish um, from this data, especially like the cow cod, because it's never asked about, they don't take any tallies of it or anything. How could you possibly know if all your information comes from fishermen and people fishing and you've basically removed it from the list? You no longer have any idea what's happening with that species of fish. It's just so detrimental, especially now that they've opened these new rockfish boundaries in California where you can fish as deep as you want, as far as you want in new zones. Even last year and the year before, when they opened up like the 600 feet zones, and then after that they opened up the unlimited. Basically, you could fish any depth. Me and Kevin went out. We're fishing. We were catching cow cod all the time, huge giant cow cods that of course we didn't keep. We had to descend, but they're everywhere. And I've talked about this before. Nowhere near the cow cod um, protected zones. So there's cow cod zones where you can't even fish. You can't even fish the bottom or drop a line. We were like way outside of this, still just catching these giant cow cod all the time. But they're like, oh no, you can't fish those. And now they're starting to take a look at them like, oh well, maybe we'll open up the fishery. It's really just the same thing. The NOAA or the federal government just has no clue. They don't have, they're not on the pulse of fishermen and what the actual fish are. Because you ask anybody that fishes, they can tell you just with our own scientific analysis. If I go out there and fish offshore wreck in Florida and I catch 10 fish and 5 of those fish were red snapper, guess what? They're not endangered. They're not a problem. They're not short. There's plenty out there. And then again, the most shameful part is it just turns into poaching. People start poaching these things and keeping them, getting into trouble, losing licenses, just like the prohibition. What happened when they tried to get rid of alcohol? It's the same thing. People are going to find a way. People are going to start breaking the law. Once you start telling people they can't do things, it's just going to increase poaching by far. If you had a reasonable thing like, hey, throughout the year you can have one per boat, that's really all you need. I mean, that's reasonable. We catch sometimes 30-pound red snapper that we send back to send down, and you see half of it pop up because it got eaten by a shark. Happens all the time. All the time. You're telling me that's better than letting people on a boat keep one fish? You'd rather just send it down and die. Like, it's crazy. And it's impossible to like not target a red snapper. If you're fishing anywhere in Florida, there's going to be snapper there. So it's not like a cowcod zone where they with cowcod lived and they like zoned it off. But even now, I can tell you the cowcod aren't just living in that zone. They're pretty much everywhere. So it's just crazy. One day they've given us one pathetic ass day a year, and they had the same thing on the Gulf Coast. And literally it took an organization, state-based organization, to open up 100 days, where they went from like 2 or 3 days to now being able to fish 100 days, because they actually did science, they actually did the research, and they actually took their time to see what the fishery actually consisted of, present the numbers to the federal government, and then they're like, okay, yeah, you can have 100 days now. And that's what it should be. It's just it's just crazy, man. Driftwood fishing, monster cowcod. So that yeah, that's a big annoyance going on out here. And that also brings me up to the next point is the I talked about the Supreme Court decision. There was a story I did, a couple months ago, where there was this fishery was basically challenging the Supreme Court based on the NOAA. The same thing, the fisheries. They wanted basically they wanted to regulate the commercial fishermen, but then they wanted to put employees from the federal government on the fishing boats, and they wanted the fishing boats to pay for everything, housing, board. So this made it all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court heard things, and I hadn't heard much about it. I was looking up at it, but I did see an update from the end of May, and it looks like they'll probably make a ruling uh, in July. They're supposed to have a ruling from the Supreme Court, so that'll be huge. And this is the exact type of thing that it's going to address. So the Chevron doctrine is what it's called, or deference. A deference is basically the problem that we've gotten into, and this is a potential fix. I guess depending on which side of the aisle you're on, but um, basically the Chevron doctrine says that what happened was it gave the federal government the right to basically make laws um, and defer to like so-called experts without having to go through Congress or pass laws or anything. So the argument against it is that the Chevron doctrine gives too much power to the executive branch of the government, which I agree. The executive branch is not supposed to make laws. They're not there to, um, put any type of really laws in place, with some small exceptions, executive orders and stuff, which is a whole nother can of worms. But in America, the House is supposed to write bills. Once bills are passed from the House, they go into the Senate to be voted on. Then once they're voted on, they're put into law. But what happened is with the Chevron doctrine is that the courts basically said that if the federal government creates an agency, OSHA, NOAA, whatever it is, the federal government or the executive branch, the president, can basically create a organization or a group, but then it can police itself, and it doesn't have to go through Congress, and Congress doesn't have to vote and pass all these laws. And the idea was that these people were supposed to be professionals, and that they knew better, and that they knew specific, because the idea was that the Congress couldn't possibly know all the ins and outs of like the fishery, or somebody that oversees oil production or something. So they deferred to uh, the federal agency to be like, okay, well, you guys are experts on this. We defer to you. We don't have to go to the courts. So they basically took it out of the courts in the hands of the Congress and put it all into these federal agencies. So the Chevron doctrine going to the Supreme Court is huge, because if it gets overturned, people are worried because there's going to be lawsuits everywhere. If it gets overturned, it's going to weaken the basically the federal government, but stuff like this. So I'm excited about it because I think it should be overturned. So then the NOAA, you have a case to be brought up and say, look, you guys have no right to be managing fisheries that are outside your jurisdiction or that you don't know about. You need to hire real professionals. It needs to be voted on. But more importantly, you can bring things up to the court. Right now, if they say, oh, you can't just catch this fish, well, guess what? You can't catch the fish because this organization has no oversight. And they just say, you know what? We've decided you can't catch cow cod. You get one snapper day a year. That's it. We do our own science. We do everything. You cannot bring it to court. You can't say anything about it because they're the professionals. What if the Chevron uh, deference for when these bring something like this up to court and have it listened to and say, look, these guys are shutting down our fishery. We have a constitutional right to fish. It gives us a lot more power, as anglers and as Americans, I think, to basically plead our case for rights that we are entitled to and that we have to. So that's going down. Apparently, they're supposed to be um, hearing it in July, and we should have a an answer. I don't know if it'll be overturned. It might not. It might stay the same. Some people say they might just change some things about it, or they might just overturn it in general. But it's a huge case, and I know, and I talked about it and brought it up because um, it was fishermen. It was a fishing industry that could potentially sink this whole thing, or they flew a little too close to the sun. And but I just thought about that today over this whole thing. Misrepresented numbers, stuff they don't understand. There's more red snapper than anything, and they slap you in the face with an even shorter season, which is just ridiculous. It's really not just, and it's not based on anything, and it happens all the time. And just, we get all these just garbage, man, mismanagement, basically. Because you ever notice, like on the state level, it's always so much more efficient. At least here in Florida, it is because um, they're a lot more involved. Florida loves fishing. Tons of fishermen here, and they invest a lot of time, a lot of money at the CCA. There's lots of organizations that do the work. They work in collaboration with the states, so you get a lot better fisheries. We got slot limits, um, and it's a well managed fishery basically that everybody kind of agrees with. Very rare that they ever just shut it down, even if they think something is overfished. They'll make the slot larger or smaller, or they'll lower the bag take, but they don't just like shut it down and say you get nothing. There's better ways to do it than just causing more criminal activity and uh, telling you can't do something. So we'll keep an eye on that case. We'll see what happens. If it does get overturned and the Supreme Court says Chevron doctrine is trash, it's gonna be crazy, man. It'll be a wild ride. It'll be interesting to see. So uh, at least if something like that does happen, we at least have a voice. It's not going to say everything's going to change overnight, but we can at least do something about it. But as of now, there's nothing we can do because they just say you can't take it to court because we defer to the experts, and we know there ain't a damn expert in the federal government that is looking out for the best interest of fishermen. You guys know that. I know that. They hate us, and we need representation in there. If this is how we got to get it, that's what we got to do. So, yeah, super disappointing. So we get a one red snapper day this year on the Atlantic coast. So thank you, government. You guys are so kind, so gracious for giving us that one day a year. Marshall Fishing, what's going on, man? Glad you could join us. Yeah, I mean, just want to get that off my chest. Tell me what you guys think. But and it's not a Florida thing, And I know firsthand that the cow cod thing in California is also, that was something when I lived in California I thought was absolute BS. And we talked about it. I'm like, dude, these things are everywhere, and you can't just shut it down, man. It's just so crazy. Nuts. Sammy Prum says, I'll be fishing the last round of Spotty World this weekend before the playoffs. Heck yeah, man. Are you already in the playoffs? Or is this going to be like, are you trying to make it? That's awesome, dude. Yeah, Spotty Bowl's been great this year. A lot of you guys have been competing. Super cool. Yeah, so I mean that's basically it on the topic. If you guys don't know, we've got the yeah, second place. Hell yeah, dude. And you be in playoffs. Did you already use up your mulligan? Or you don't have time yet? Here, guys, before we go, we got the driftwood fishing asked on Instagram. What was my happiest moment on the water? Um Man, I don't know. I'd have to really check. You know, one of the happiest moments I had was when I caught a halibut in Alaska. And I don't know why for some reason, but it was like I don't know if like because I lost one and like the fishing was kind of tough, but I just remember when I caught that first like big halibut in Alaska was like it was a really cool moment for me for some reason. It was that one sticks with me a lot. It was such an awesome trip. But then there's so many, fishing with friends and family. My mom passed away, and I remember going out fishing with her even just a couple years ago. She went on some of my fishing trips, and we didn't know she wasn't gonna make many more. So stuff like that is cool. And fishing with you guys, submission at sea. Another one too is when we did a submission at sea, and we were on the Malahini on the islands, and it was kind of slow. It was a rough day, and then we just found this blow up of yellowtail, and Captain Bill gets on the intercom, and he's like, "Make it rain," and everybody was just casting jigs and surface irons and stuff out, and we ended up catching like quite a few yellowtail, and it was fun. It was just like this like 15-30 minutes of just absolute chaos like towards the end of the day. I mean that was a really good moment too. But so many. I mean, first bluefin. Yeah, I mean that's what just makes fishing great. It's like the never ending list of cool stuff. Yeah, how about you? What was your happiest moment? Oh yeah, Mulligan was first round. Yeah, that's rough, man. Getting that out first. David Chrisman, Oos, welcome to the show. Glad you could join us. Yeah, guys, I mean, that's pretty much it. We've got the new jigs out. This is the Bream Dream. If you guys check these out, this is like the newest edition. These are 3D stamped, so these are a lot like the live bait jig that we sell in the 20 gram up to 60 gram. So it's got like the pattern is actually printed on the jig itself, and then it's painted as well. It's got the little dot, on the gill. It's kind of hard to see, but they've all got that 3D stamping. These are both in the Sumo and the Assassin. So this is the new color. Supposed to imitate a baby bream. Yeah, pretty bitchin'. Really happy with how these turned out. Looking forward to seeing you guys catch some fish on those. So they're live now. Check them out. We sent some out to Tackle Express has got them, Fisherman's Access, and a lot of your tackle stores. We've been trying to get these in there. So you get them online. Or definitely check out your tackle stores, see if they got them. So yeah, should definitely be cool. And we got a submission at sea too. So if you guys want to fish with me, we're gonna go 2 days out in Southern California. We're going on in the Voyager. There's only 18 people. I think we've got we still got like 10 spots available. It's in October, so definitely guys get in that. We're gonna go hit some fish grounds, some rockfish grounds that are just opening that we can only really fish this year, and then we're gonna do probably bluefin fishing at night. So if you guys want to join, the earlier you join and buy your ticket, you get to choose your bunk. So don't wait on that. Come fish with me. We give you jigs. We got some custom stuff. Salty bastards, what's going on, man? Pesca fiends, yo yo yo, and yeah. So check that out. Submission at sea. Come fish with me. I think it'd be cool. My favorite moment was watching my son catch his first halibut. It was a beautiful day. Yeah, yeah. I can't wait to take my daughter out. That should probably be cool as hell. Yeah, I think that's all I got, guys. So screw the NOAA and the one day red snapper tournament or one day red snapper season. But yeah, glad you guys can join us. Hey, thank you guys for all the support. I love seeing all the pictures you guys post of the jigs catching the fish. If you guys don't follow us on Instagram, check it out. You can see all these fish that these guys catch, different stuff from Texas, Florida, primarily Southern California. Just been great stuff. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you for all the support. And we'll see you next week. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out on Instagram. or even from our website. You guys can find us there. And really appreciate you guys. We'll see you next week. Oos.